This is Gemara Zevachim, Daf Nun Aleph. And we're holding on Nun and Beis in the middle of a lengthy discussion, a truthfully 16-step lengthy discussion as we go through numerous Hekish, Gzeir, Shava, Binyanav, V'chulu. We're holding about 12 lines at the bottom of Memtes, Nun and Beis, First one line is Din, and we like all the learning once again to be an incredible Schos Refuah Shalema, like only the Koyach HaTorah could have for Gabriel Simcha ben Miriam Ahuva, Psiyata Deshmaya, the incredible Koyach HaTorah of the entire Chabura, should bring Miriam Ahuva, Gabriel Simcha, ben Miriam Ahuva, should bring Gabriel Simcha Miriam Ahuva a complete Refuah Shalema. Says the Gemara, Davar Halamid Bikal V'chaymer. The next on our list is something you learn through a Kal V'chaymer. Ma'u Sheyilmad B'binyanav. Can it then go and be part of a binyanav? And we're in the middle again of a lengthy discussion, wanting to know how do we combine these Yud Gimel Midos. Can a Hekish combine with a Gzeir Shava? Can a Gzeir Shava combine with a Kal V'chaymer? Can a Kal V'chaymer combine with a binyanav? So we have four different limudim, Hekish, Gzeir Shava, Kal V'chaymer, binyanav. 4 in all the different permutations is 16. So says the Gemara up to Kal V'chaymer. So can a Kal V'chaymer continue and teach us through a binyanav? Amar Rav Yirmiyah Tashema. I'll bring you a raya from later on in the Masechta. Malak, if someone does milika, again, a kayin shechting a bird with his large thumbnail. V'nimsas treif, and you find to be treif. Rameir Ameina mitames bebeis abliya. The carbon does not mitame via the throat when it's swallowed, will not be mitame. Rav Yehuda Omer, it is mitamas bebeis abliya. Omer Rav Yirmiyah, says Rav Yirmiyah, I'll tell you how he knows not mitame. Kal v'chaymer man nevilas behemoth shemitame b'mago b'masa. A regular nevela, the halacha is it's mitame by touching it, by carrying it, and yet shchitasa mitaheres. And similarly, the halacha with a behema is shchita makes it tar. Treifasa, if it's a treifa, if it's treif, it's not kosher. Mitumas, it's something. Yet nevilas oif shein mitame b'mago b'masa. A nevilas oif is a lower level. It doesn't have tumas maga if you touch it. It does not have tumas mas if you carry it. So then certainly ein oidin shadish chidasa mitaheres, number 1, and number 2 treifa mitu treifasai mitumas, and that's where it says Rameir, it will not be mitame bebeis abliya. That is step number 1. That is where Rameir learns this thing. So says Rameir, the Kal V'chaymer teaches us that the shchita makes it not a problem anymore of the tumah of nevela. Says the Gemara, so now how do we go to the binyanav? The next step, ma motzinu, on the last line, just like we find b'shchita shemichsharesa b'achilasa, that the shchita makes the carbon able to be eaten. Mitaheres treifasa mitumasa. And similarly, on the top line of the Aleph and Beis, similarly, what do we find about the shchita? We find about the shchita that, one second, we are covering our Gemara. Okay, it's not moving us over, so let's just continue on this side of the page. Okay, I apologize. I don't know why this is happening, but either way, says the Gemara. No, now we lost our camera entirely. One second, I apologize. Let's get ourselves back up and running. There we go. Says the Gemara, Nachma, mitaheres treifasa meitumasa. It makes tar the treifa from the tumah. Af melika, here's the binyanav. So too, what should the din be by melika? Shemichsharasa ba'achila. That what the melika, shechting the carbon with the thumb, should make it kosher for eating. Titaher treifasa meitumasa, should also make tar treifa of its tumah. Rameir's din. Rav Yosi Omer, no, daya kinevelas behema toira. It's daya like the nevela behema toira. That what? Shashchitasa mitarasa velay melikasa. So that is the machlekes. But what do we see from Shitas Rabbi Meir? we see clearly that Shitas Rabbi Meir is that we are allowed to take a kalva chaymer and extend it with a binyanav. What says the Gemara, no raya, 5 lines down, Velohi, Hasam Tavehi Mishchita, Hasam over there, Tavehi, even if it was true they're a mayor. Use the kalva chaymer, use the binyanav. Still I have a kasha. Why? Meshchita de chulin kasinon. Why? Because of the shchita of chulin, and therefore this will not be a raya. Because we learn out the shchita of chulin, that since both shchita elements are not involved in a carbon, therefore, what do we see? And this is similar to one of the kashas we had in the beginning of our list of 16, that this is not kachim oriented. And if it's not kachim oriented, we lost our raya. And finally, davar alamed v'binyanav ma'ushi alamid v'hekesh. Can a binyanav in turn go and teach via hekesh? Ubigzera shava, ubekal v'chaymer, ubebinyanav. So in the last of our journey is binyanav. And here the Gemara throws them all together. Can a binyanav be extended by a hekesh, by a kseir shava, by a kalva chaymer, and by a binyanav itself? Says the Gemara, I'll answer up one. Excuse me. Where do we get the din that if there's a din of alina, which means something is kept overnight, when it comes to the dam, that is going to be kosher? Where do we know such a din? That if it's placed on the mizbeach, it stays there, sharilan be'emurim kosher. Because the same halacha is by a murim. That what? If it's kept overnight, and thereby becoming pasul, they also stay on the mizbeach if you place them by mistake. Lan be'emurim kosher. We know that staying overnight by the emurim are kosher. Sharilan be'basar kosher. Because we know that when it comes to the basar of a shlamim, if you leave it overnight, you also can eat it. Yaitzi. So what do we see? We come to exclude. Hayel v'yaitze kosher bebehema. Since it's kosher with regarding to a bibama, whereas tamei, when it comes to a tamei, hayel v'hotar b'avodas sibur. Tamei has its own unique din, chutz lizmanoi. Hayel umeratzel pigula, it has its own din, chutz lemekaimai. Hayel v'hukash l'chutz lizmanoi, you have a hekish to chutz lizmanoi, shekeblu psulim. V'zarku daman b'hanach, and the dam was thrown by someone who's pasul b'hanach psulim d'chutz l'avodas sibur. So says the Gemara, a long and lengthy raya, but we see with regarding a hekish, with regarding a binyanav, will yes be able to extend the two. Says the Gemara, 1 second. Is this true? Can we bring a raya for something that was done by mistake? Once you put it on the mizbeach, you can leave it there. How can you bring a raya from there? Something which is done the right way. How can you say that b'diavad could stay? It brings you a raya to lichatchila. Says the Gemara, I'll tell you how. The first line is Tana. Tana mizayis utayras ha'ila riba. And therefore, samach lei, we rely on it. And therefore, that's how we will, yes, be able to extend the drasha. That's our end of our 16 different drashas and how they could be extended. Hekish, G'eshava, Kavachaymer, Binyanav. And in reality, this last one, we have mamish no answer for. Every other one, we had some rayas yes, some rayas no. Here, Binyanav, we had one attempt, the Gemara refuted it. And with regarding the other 3, there were some points that it was able to be extended and some that it was not. And with that, we continue the next half of the Mishnah. That said, the Mishnah, Shiyari Hadam, the excess, the remnants of the dam you place on the Yisoid HaMa'aravi of the Mizbeach HaChitza in the western side of the Mizbeach HaChitzon. Says the Gemara, my time. What is the reason that this is precisely where the dam is placed? Amar Kra, or my time over here, is really of a different connotation. Not really what's the reason, but really what is the source. Amar Kra, says the pasuk, all the dam should be placed in the base of the Mizbeach Ha'olah, the Mizbeach Ha'olah, which is where at the entrance of the Yom Ha'ed. And therefore, what do we learn now? Where the place at which you can hit first in that Mizbeach, and that's what we're learning out. It's going to be the western side. Says the Gemara, that's our Makar. So we have a Makar. Where do you pour the Shiari Adam? The first part of the Mizbeach you hit as you're going towards the Beis HaMikdash, which is the Sad Ma'aravi, the western side, Al Yisod. Tana Rabbanon, says the Gemara, Al Yisod Mizbeach Ha'olah. The pasuk says that the Shirayim are placed on the Yisod, V'lo Yisod Mizbeach HaPnimi, and not the Yisod of the inner Mizbeach. Al Yisod Mizbeach Ha'olah, the pasuk continues, placed in the Mizbeach Ha'olah. Ein lo Yisod L'Pnimi Atzmai. This teaches there's no base to the inner Mizbeach itself. El Yisod Mizbeach Ha'olah. What does the pasuk mean by continuing in a third pasuk into the base of Mizbeach Ha'olah? That what 10 Yisod you should place Yisod the Mizbeach Shel Ha'olah to the Mizbeach Ha'olah Oyin Oyela. Or maybe you know what the Torah is teaching us by this third pasuk. Mizbeach Shel Ha'olah Yehei Li Yisod. That the Mizbeach Ha'olah should have a Yisod. So two ways of potentially learning the halacha. Either means 10 Yisod the Mizbeach Ha'olah, to apply the halacha of the Yisod to all the karbanos, meaning that they're placed on the Yisod. Or it's actually a commandment, it's actually the makar, that there has to be a Yisod on the Mizbeach Ha'olah. So Amar Rabbi Yishmael, 10 lines to the bottom, the first one line is Amar Kal V'chaymer. Says Rabbi Yishmael, I'll teach you a Kal V'chaymer. Ma shirayim shein mechaprim. Yet what's halacha to unin yisoid? All the shirayim, the remnants, the excess of all the damachatos, which does not give a kapara. Yeah, what's the din? You place it on the yisoid. Chilas oila shemechaperes. The first of the oila's blood, which indeed is mechaper, no din shatuni yisoid, and that's going to be our makar. That the dama oila is placed on the Yisod. Amar Rabbi Akiva, says Rabbi Akiva, Mashirayim shein mechaprim. Says Rabbi Akiva, 1 second. If the shirayim of the dam chatos, which is not mechaper, and vein boy, likapara, it's not coming for that yet. To una Yisod, Techilas oila shemechaperes, the beginning of the oila's dam, which is mechaper, and do ba'alik apare no din shatuni Yisod. But if that is true, if we can learn it from Xerish Kal V'chaymer, in Cain we have a problem. What do we need the pasuk for? Matamid Laimar, 4 lines on the bottom. Like you said, Mizbeach Ha'olah. What do we use the pasuk? 10 you said Mizbeach Shel Ha'olah. Teaches us to put the din to the base of Mizbeach Ha'olah, that it should be placed over there. End of Raisa. So we have Rabbi Yishmael, we have Rabbi Akiva. We have 3 psukim in Vayikra that really are extra, where the shirayim should be placed. And now we have a 4th halacha that we're learning out, that the dam ha'olah is going to be anywhere where there is a yisod, as learned by a Kal V'chaymer. Amar Mar. And now in classical Gemara form, we dive a little bit deeper. Ha'olah Amar Mar al yisod mizbeach, or ha'olah al yisod mizbeach. But you don't put it on the side of the inner mizbeach. Says the Gemara, but we need this pasuk here for its own reason. How are we darshaning this pasuk to say to put it on the outside mizbeach, not inside of mizbeach? 1 second. You need it to teach us which mizbeach, not that you need to put it aside. Says where Me'asher Pesach al Mayid, Nafka, the fact that it says at the entrance al Mayid, clearly teaching us, referring to the Mizbeach HaChitzon. Al Yisayin Mizbeach Ha'ila, says Gemara, the third pasuk on the Yisayin of the Mizbeach Ha'ila, says the Gemara, and what do we learn that out from? As we turn over to a very short Amud, says the Gemara, 10 Yisayin, Le Mizbeach Shalayla, apply the halacha to the base of the Mizbeach Ha'ila, Di Sakadaitach, if you're going to tell me Ketachsev, if you're going to tell me that you should learn it as it is written, Hani lamali kra. Why do we need a pasuk? The shirayim. We need a pasuk for the shirayim. Teach that the shirayim of the dam should be put on the mizbeach achitza, not mizbeach hapenimi. Says the Gemara. Why we need a pasuk for there? Shirayim abaraya avilu. The whole carbon that we're talking about is on the mizbeach achitza. So why would we need another pasuk to tell me don't put the dam on the inside? Of course not. Where every part of this carbon is outside. Maybe you'll tell me maybe we should switch it around. As we turn over to the Beis Amud Aleph for a moment, that the dam of the Mizbeach Achitzain to the Mizbeach Hapenimi, Ha'in Lo Yisaid Lipenimi Atzma, the kasha which I'm sure was bothering everyone the whole time. There's no Yisaid in the Mizbeach Hapenimi. So what was the Havamina? And therefore, Be'etzem, the pasuk would be extra, and that's why the pasuk is coming to teach us halacha that all the karbanos of Mizbeach Achitzain have this halacha that the dam is placed in the aside. Stop over here. We'll pick it up from here as the Gemara will continue discussing the brisa the next year. B'siyata Dishmai.